What's up, man? We'll give it a minute, everybody, on this fine Saturday evening. Why? It always takes me forever. So I'm trying to share it on X. So you've got the Sideline Madness hoops and that's the right link, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is the right link. I think I posted it. I might have posted it on the wrong on my personal, but then reposted it.
Yeah, because you shouldn't have to post it. I don't know. Once again, we're figuring out the text or the tech side of this, but
the tech side.
How was your day, man?
Oh, today was a good day. I'm trying to think of all that we did. My wife and I went shopping for some groceries, and it was just it was a slow morning, which was nice. Watched Tennessee get to the SEC championship game. It looks like they'll be playing Florida because Alabama did not show up, or Florida is out of control because that was a beat down.
Yeah, we gotta master we do the countdown clock, but then we kind of ease our way into it to let people show up. So it's almost like maybe we should jump on here, then do the countdown clock when we're like, okay, we're ready to go, but
yeah.
All right. My day was fine. It was a weird day. We're in the Pacific Northwest. And it was like, it wasn't one of those days where it was just muggy and rain all day. It was like downpour, then it would be blue skies, then it would downpour. And it was just like, I was trying to plan my day around these downpours, and it was interesting for sure. But all right, let's get after it here. All right. Welcome to, sorry, I said that and then I didn't have my notes. Welcome to the Sideline podcast. My name is Kevin Showalter, and my co-host is Jared Booker. We are two best friends who love football, fantasy football, pretty much all things sports. Reminders, a couple reminders. We are usually live. We're still new at this, so we're trying to stay consistent of every Saturday, 8 p.m. West Coast time, Pacific time. Some weeks we miss it, or we schedules or things happen. But yeah, check us out here Saturday nights, 8 p.m. We are also planning to start a Campus to Canton fantasy football league. And so if you guys are interested in playing fantasy football with us, we will be putting some stuff out on that. And then one other piece of news, TSP news, our March Madness group is live, and so you can go. It is pinned to our main account. It's pinned to our personal accounts, and you can join our group. And we are going to do, Booker and I have done for years now, where the winner, it's a bit of a mouthful, but just stay with us. The winner, I should go get my Baylor hat, but the winner gets the hat of the championship team. Not yet on Devontae, but
sorry. All right, we're good.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Spoiler alert. That's a sneak peek.
Spoiler alert. We're talking Devontae Adams. Love it, man. Love it. So the winner gets the hat of the championship team. So a couple years ago, I beat Booker. So I've got a nice sparkly white Baylor hat that never leaves my house. He's gotten some UConn hats. You've been on kind of a heater as of late. And so, yeah, the UConn ones that you got was much nicer than my Baylor hat that I will never wear. So, alrighty. So that's a bit of our housekeeping. As always, we like to start with some trivia. So yeah, take it away, Booker. I think you've got our trivia questions for tonight. Let's see. One while you're pulling that up, did you see that thing I posted of like 19? I think Dove Kleiman posted it, and I just commented on it. It's doing pretty good on X at the moment, but it's like 1920s football. They do a lateral, and people are roasting of like, hey, this is the Jets and the Browns on a Monday night, But anyway. Booker has a thing for pulling trivia questions out of the 1920s, so we'll see what he gives us here tonight.
And actually, it's really not It's not the 1920s, but it is the 1930s.
Okay. Nice. Appreciate it.
All right. You're very welcome.
Oh,
So
you literally went 30s.
I did. So, and if you're listening and you know the answer to this, feel free to comment because a big part of this that Kevin and I both enjoy is when people interact, if that's what they would like to do. So, which team was the first to win the NCAA tournament in 1939? It was not known as March Madness at that time. Was it A, Duke, B, Oregon, C, Maryland, or D, Kansas?
Man, yeah, I need to phone a friend here to somebody in the chat because I have no idea on this one. The Duke is probably like you want me to pick Duke because they're like the modern day juggernaut, but I don't think that they've always been that team. I'm kind of leaning Kansas or Oregon. I feel like you put Maryland in there to also try and throw me off of like, oh, it's probably Maryland, but I want to say it's Oregon or Kansas. If anybody's listening, drop us a comment if you think I am trying to phone a friend right now. That friend's name is Grok. Hey Grok.
Oh, are you're actually using AI to figure?
Hey Grok, who want? I'm gonna go since nobody's commenting. I'm gonna go with D, Kansas. Is my final answer.
That is a good guess. That is not correct. You actually had it on the other side. It was B, Oregon.
Okay.
So, yep 1939, Oregon won the very first one.
Nice.
So, Duke and Maryland were both put in there for the exact reason that you said that I would do that. So, nice work.
Yep.
All right. Next question. 2 out of 2. Or no, can you be 1 out of 2? How many consecutive titles did UCLA win with John Wooden? Was it A, 8, B, 4, C, 3, or D, 7?
Also phone a friend, but I feel better about this one. It's either A or D. I just can't remember. It's a lot in a row. I want to say it's 7. I'm going to go with D. I'm picking D a lot tonight, but yeah, let's go with D. 7 in a row is my final
Nice
answer.
work. That is accurate. So from 1967 to 1973,
Wow.
They won 7 in a row. First one against Dayton, North Carolina, Purdue, Jacksonville, Villanova, Florida State, and then Memphis State. So,
wow. There we
nice
go.
work. All right.
Nice work. Those
1 out of 2. 1 out of 2.
Good pulls with March Madness on the heels. So we just started last week with this. I don't know. We don't do really A block, B block, C block, or segments or whatever. We're still going from the hip, but we're going to recap the news. We're going to let Booker, what is flowing in that brain of yours? We're going to talk news stories. What's popping off? There's clearly it's been a very slow week in the NFL, not too much happening. And so there's it's probably going to be a 10-second segment, but no, take us away. Let it eat, man. Whatever is on the heart, on the mind. Let it out.
Well, there's a ton that has happened in the past week, but as a Buffalo Bills fan, there is one thing in particular that sticks out. That is, it's I can't explain it any other way other than we have a new segment called Dingus of the Day. And maybe I'll change it. I use day because it's also a D, just like Dingus, but it might be Dingus of the Week since this is a weekly podcast, but that does not flow as well. So Dingus of the Day. And in this case, it is possible to be Dingai of the Day, which would be 2 Dinguses.
Okay.
So this week, the Buffalo Bills signed Larry Ogunjobi from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had 361 tackles, or he has accumulated 361 tackles, 27 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, over 124 games. Stud. And they also signed Michael Hoyt from the LA Rams. He's played in 68 games and recorded 180 tackles and 13 and a half sacks. So Hoyt got a 3-year, $21 million deal with the Bills, and Ogunjobi was just a single year contract. And actually, it doesn't look like I've got the amount that they're paying him, which is actually pretty important because he is the main dingus of the day, in my opinion. So apparently, Michael Hoyt, Bean knew going in that he was going to get a PED suspension, and they still signed him for 3 years. They knew. So maybe they worked that into the deal. Maybe they didn't. So both of these guys are suspended due to performance enhancing drugs for the first 6 games of the regular season. So Michael Hoyt, he's there for 3 years. The Bills knew the first 6 games, this is going to be handed down to him. Maybe they worked it into a deal. Ogunjobi is a 1-year deal guy, and the Bills were not previously aware. And so he will be sitting out for like just over 35% of the regular season for the Buffalo Bills. And he claims, I mean, I don't know. These guys have trainers. They're working out with people. A lot of people are feeding them whatever they feel they need. I mean, just elite trainers. Apparently it was his trainer is what he's saying. He was just unaware what he was putting into his body, but that's that's a big hit. And I don't know if there's any recourse. Like, it's obviously not like going to Costco and just returning your, a blanket that didn't match your curtains in your room. It's like it's a human being with a big old contract that will not be able to contribute. So I think that is the main thing that has bothered me. And I, as a Bills fan, I'm just like, man, because they have a lot of good signings this week. So,
let me ask you a question: Is Hoyt or Ogunjobi the dingus, or do you put that on Bean? I mean, Bean's well-respected general manager in the league, but I think we were getting into it a little bit last week about like teams that high character players versus not. When you draft players, like where do those character things rank amongst their skill, amongst the fit, amongst all of those things? Do you put this on Bean, or do you? And then I'll let you think on that for a second. One glimmer of hope. It's a long season, so these guys had 6 weeks to get their bodies right. Sure, I guess you can think of it that way. But there's also the Eagles, and I promise I don't take everything back to the Eagles, big Eagles fan, but I don't do that. However, Isaiah Rodgers, suspended for a year. The Eagles, I believe they signed him knowing he would miss the first entire year. And then, so he was on the team last year. He didn't play, obviously. This year, he contributed greatly. Like Darius Slay was getting hurt pretty much every game, with getting banged up. And Rodgers was like a big part of our team, even though he signed a contract that he wasn't going to play for the first half of the year. And you have to think, again, if these guys are suspended for PEDs, like that's gonna reach into their bottom line. They're not going to get paid, for those game checks of missing. So, I guess that was my question: was how much of that onus do you put on Brandon Bean for bringing these guys in, and then just giving you a little bit of glimmer of hope that it is not all lost?
Well, you'd think that. They knew about Hoyt, so he worked that into the equation. You'd think that they would do. I mean, I'm sure they're testing these guys physically prior to signing any deals. There's got to be. I mean, we're talking big money here, so I would think that they would test for PEDs prior to signing, like offering a contract to a guy for that much money. Which I need to find out exactly how much money that is. But a 1-year deal, it's still a good amount of money. You'd think that they would check that. So I think I'm going to go half and half. It's Bean and it's Ogunjobi. I feel like you kind of got to know if you go to a Chinese restaurant and you are allergic to peanuts, it's wise to check your meal prior to putting it into your gullet, whether it has peanuts or not. And so I think similar thing for Ogunjobi. But I digress. We move on.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Oh, I have a news. I have a newsworthy. It's not in our notes, but Jordan Mason is, as of tonight, like 2 or 3 hours ago, I believe it was. It's all over X if you haven't already seen, but he has officially been traded to the Vikings for, I believe, a seventh round or sixth round pick. Probably sixth round pick next year, I think, or something like that. So not huge compensation. Um, Honestly, I was kind of a head scratcher for the 49ers because I was like, having CMAC, having that insurance is a nice thing when your team is decimated. Like, the 49ers are going to need to run the ball 40 times a game would be a winning strategy. But you're certainly not going to do that through CMAC. So part of me, I could see that. I believe there's also a good argument to be said, hey, it's a scheme, it's a plug and play. So, Isaac Garendo, it's your time to be the RB2. Christian McCaffrey, we/TSP Kevin would love for you to just have one more vintage, RB1 season, ride it out, carry my Campus Canton team next year. But history says he's probably going to miss some time. And Isaac Rendo, you're going to be that guy. I think the 49ers also bring in a running back. This class is too loaded, and they're drafting running backs even on a week. They're going to draft a running back. So with this loaded of a class, I would expect them to bring somebody in. My question for you is, going to the Vikings side of this, how do you think things shake out? Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. They gave Jordan Mason a 2-year deal. Pretty good money, but I think Aaron Jones is making some good money as well. So how do you think that backfield shakes out? Obviously, there's the Aaron Rodgers, J.J. McCarthy element of this, but how do you think that backfield shakes out?
Well, I think that they're actually going to use Jordan Mason the same way the 49ers did, as a insurance policy. Aaron Jones is 30 years old, which compared to me is not old, but in the NFL that is old, especially taking the beating that they take as a running back. And he does have an injury history. Last year, it looks like he got his hip injured during week 5. He sustained a rib injury in week 10, and then had a quad contusion in week 17. And so I think that he is no stranger to missing a game here and there. And Jordan Mason proved to be a pretty serviceable back. So that's my thought.
I agree. I think it's going to be kind of a 1A, 1B. It is interesting. I just looked up the Aaron Jones contract. He actually just re-upped with the Vikings for 2 years, $20 million. So he clearly, where Mason, I think, was 2 years, 12 max value. So clearly, it's not always the case of follow the money, but usually if a player is getting paid significantly more, they're going to get, at least the first crack at it. But I think this could be let's use both guys. Aaron Jones still has some juice, but probably, let's keep him around 200 carries. Let's throw him the ball, that kind of stuff. And obviously, if Aaron Jones gets hurt, then we're talking, a starting running back. So, All right. So last week, unless you have any other news, let's move into free agency stuff. So last week we were kind of previewing free agency. We're gonna just go through some of the big names that got signed. We're not going to hit everybody just because we're not going to be here all night. This will be a little bit of a shorter episode, but with it being the off season, we're just trying to stay consistently showing up and bringing some content of value, talking football. So. Let's get into some of these guys. So Chris Godwin back in Tampa. I think it's a smash fit for him. There was reports where he turned down more money to go to the Patriots. Those reports are always interesting when you don't see the actual contract. It could have been like, hey, we offered you an extra $30 million, but it was non-guaranteed. But we could have said, hey, we offered you 90 instead of 66. So it's like, they might have offered you more money, but they still could have cut you after a couple years. And so I think this was the right move for him. He was having a career year last year before the injury. I think he can take the reins once Mike Evans retires. They're a great They're a great 1-2 punch. So yeah, I think it was a smash play for him to go back to Tampa. What are your thoughts on Justin Fields to the New York Jets?
I think the Jets are such a dumpster fire, man. Good for him. I saw some videos on X of him in Dubai with a bunch of NFL buddies of his, just celebrating that contract. It's like, I mean, he's getting paid, and I think what I'm happy for is that he's going to get a shot to be QB1. So
Yeah.
put up or shut up. Like you will have, give the Jets gave Zach Wilson so much time, so maybe they'll give Justin Fields so much time, or at least as much time. And I think between his wheels and I mean, at Ohio State, he was a stud. So I don't know if it's just been a bad system up till now. I do not have a ton of hope that the New York Jets are going to be the one to turn him around, but good for him for getting paid.
Yeah, there's the old adage of if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. I think the Steelers found that out the hard way this year because I forget who I was listening to today, or I read something where it was like, can they actually bring Russell Wilson back at this point? Like, the answer is kind of no. Like, the whole world knows that he's your fallback guy. So, like, you're going to trot him back. Hey, we signed our fallback guy. Like, you're better off bringing in a rookie than saying, all right, let's throw him back out there for a 9-8 season. Like, I don't know. And I was pretty adamant and pretty vocal about. I think Fields, even if it was a little, who am I to count anybody's money? But I think a little less money for the Steelers long term. Hey, you're gonna win. You could be their quarterback for the next 12 years. Like, I get you taking. I think it's 30 million, right? It's like 2 years 40, but I think it's really like a 1 year $30 million deal for Fields.
Like
Guaranteed.
I think so.
Yeah, look up that guaranteed money.
Right.
But who's going to argue with taking 30 mil? And what that says is, hey, you're going to be our guy. Yeah, we got Tyrod. Yeah, we're probably going to bring in Milroe, but you're going to be our guy at least for 1 year. But I mean, and that's a lot of money. But I think the opportunity to be the Steelers quarterback for the next decade, for his career, could have been a much better option. But again, if they were offering him not much money, you benched him for Russell. Like I hate to say it, but they kind of fumbled. They fumbled this situation, where it just is what it is. So let's move on.
And just so you know, it is 30 million guaranteed. So it's a $40 million contract over 2 years with 30 million guaranteed. So
yeah, so 1 year, 30 mil, and that's important. I think we've talked about it before, but any of these contracts, it's always the guaranteed money. Like, because as soon as the guaranteed money's up, they can cut you, and they usually do, or the player complains because they want the guaranteed money. And so you saw, the days leading up to free agency, all these old vets, the Joey Bosa's getting cut because they're like, that's even the Myles Garrett. I'll take a slight tangent here, but Myles Garrett, I mean, he probably did want to go play for the Chiefs or the Bills or the Eagles, or like he wants to win. But like the reality from the jump, his contract was out of guaranteed money. So he was going to play this year, where if he gets hurt game one, that's going to mess with his dollars and cents, So, yeah, it's all about that. And so when you see 2 years, 40 million, but 30 up front guaranteed, it's like, okay, this is a 1 year, $30 million deal. They're either going to extend him in the offseason or they're going to cut him. Like, he's not going to play out the second year on 10 million. Like, it's not how it'll work. Right? If they're
actually, so what I got here is his signing bonus. He gets, he's getting 15 million, but his base salary fully guaranteed for year one is 5 million. It's actually in 2026 that he'll get 20 million, 10 million of which is guaranteed. So they've kind of got it layered so that he'll.
Yeah, but that's how they do it for the cap. But if they cut him, he's still getting that 30 million. So
yeah.
We hit Fields. Why don't you pull up this Devontae Adams graphic? This was
I can do that now.
Yeah, go ahead, fire away. So I thought this was interesting from Roto World Football. Do you think Devontae Adams could garner wide receiver one production with the Rams? This is a big trade, and this popped off before free agency even started. And I've been getting into quite a few discussions with people on Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, and I promise this isn't just to talk about Kevin's Campus to Canton players, but that's kind of how this is shaking out because a lot of these guys are on my team as well. So I'm intrigued by it. But yeah, this just is strange to me. Like going from Cooper Kupp to Devontae Adams. You know, they're around the same age. Devontae Adams is actually older. They're both kind of route runner guys. Neither of them was like a Tyreek Hill, a speed demon that's gonna take the top off the. You know, like they're gonna get open. They're savvy. They're smart guys. I just think when I see the money that Cooper Kupp got, I'm like, why didn't you just pay him? You know, did he want more to come back? Anyway, we'll get into Cooper Kupp. Let's stay focused here. So, do you think? I guess who do you think is the wide? Who's the 1A on the Rams this year? Is it Puka or is Devontae step in? He took the jersey right off of Puka's back. But yeah, does he step in as that wide receiver 1A or does he fit that kind of Cooper Kupp role?
I think that he steps in and becomes the wide receiver one. I think that seems more likely to me because of his experience. Puka had that. I mean, his rookie year, he was electric. If you picked him up on your waiver wire in fantasy football, you probably did spend a little bit of your fab, but whatever you spent was a bargain because he blew up. He didn't really have that good of. Am I wrong in saying he didn't have that great of a year? I feel like people figure out how to scheme as they go. Devontae Adams, I know that he's been going from team to team to team, kind of following Aaron Rodgers, but I think that at this point, Matthew Stafford is, and I did kind of trash talk Matthew Stafford a little bit on X.
Retract.
But what I'll say is I think he's actually a better quarterback at this point than Aaron Rodgers is. And so Devontae Adams is, I think, overall, even though Puka Nacua, I think, will be the dink and dunk guy, I actually think Devontae Adams will catch some longer passes this year. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's something to be said about having an entire offseason with a team. Like when you get traded in the middle of the year, it's much harder to like, hey, I've got to, even with your boy, Aaron Rodgers, but it's like you're getting thrown into a locker room, you're getting thrown into a new city. So the fact that he is all off season to get familiar with Sean McVay, Stafford, this offense, yeah, I do think he's going to hit the ground running. I would probably say it's probably going to go. There's going to be some Puka weeks. There's going to be some Devontae Adams weeks. I think that's how it shakes out.
Okay, so let me tell you this.
They're both,
or let me ask you this. Are you picking up, if you like in a redraft? I know that he's not available in our dynasty league. In redraft, if you have both of them available and they are both like, there's no one else available that you'd rather have. It's either Adams or Nacua. Who are you picking up
in redraft? I'll be curious to see where they go because like if say Puka is like a first rounder, Puka might be like a late first, early second round type of player. You could probably get Devontae Adams in like the 4th or 5th round. Like, give me the 4th or 5th round on the Devontae Adams. Now, I like to, I'm going to probably take the riskier move. But that being said, Puka is like, he's a lunch pail guy. Like, he's just going to show up. And I think I was probably down on him a little bit last year, but I'm like, he's just a good player. And they don't get rid of Cooper Kupp unless – like maybe they had this lined up that Adams was coming in, but I don't think you make that move unless you're like, okay, Puka can be that guy. So while we're kind of on this little messy family, let's just get into some Cooper Kupp on the Seahawks. You posted you're out in Eastern Washington. He played at Eastern. He played at Central. He's from Yakima, which is kind of central.
He's from Yakima, but he played at Eastern. He's an Eag.
Hometown boy back in Seattle. Yeah, I think it's a great fit. I think it's going to be, again, the Seahawks and the Rams are kind of doing the same. Like, it's just head scratcher. Like, this kind of segues into DK as well. It's like good teams don't trade 27-year-old studs away. It's just not what you do. And then, especially to bring in a 31, 32-year-old guy that's injury prone. He's going to get the boost from playing in front of his family, playing at home. Um, I think he probably, like, he was healthy last year. I just don't, they just weren't targeting him. He had a couple big games, but yeah, I think it's a great fit. I think Sam Darnold is going to want to step in and going to feed him the ball, I'm intrigued both on a fantasy, but also just in real football. When you have two guys in JSN and Cooper Cup that play the same position, and I think JSN, did he play outside at Ohio State or was he in the slot at Ohio State? Not sure.
Not
It's all right.
sure.
It's not critical. I want to say he played outside a bit at Ohio State. So I'm sure they both can do it, but when you bring in two guys um, that play the same position, it's just a little intriguing on that fit. Where again, if I'm the Seahawks, I think they got a steal on Darnold. Like I thought Darnold was getting 250, so Darnold for 30 per year is like that's really good. You got a professional quarterback who can like operate your offense. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's going to manage the game, which is his job for 30 million in this current economy. Like give me a 27-year-old Sam Darnold for that. I think it's a great fit for him. The pressure is not there. If he goes back to Minnesota, especially for a big contract back in Minnesota, like they're ready to win now. Where, I've been getting into it with Seattle fans on the internet, but like they're sort of in a rebuild. They can call it a retool. They're not in a Jets or a Browns rebuild, but they're a 10-win team that has kind of shipped out really good pieces. And so just to assume it's going to work in year one is is interesting, like a new quarterback, new pieces, new-ish coach. I just, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So, any other thoughts you have on Cooper Cup before we keep it going here?
Um, I think that it's a good fit as well. He's kind of like, I think he's like the training wheels. You get rid of DK, who's going to be like, I mean, he's absolute stud, but he's probably going to he would have put a lot of pressure on Darnold to like feed him the ball. It seemed like that kind of player. Cup, I feel like will take what comes his way, run some pretty simple routes. I'm not as high on Darnold as maybe some after one good year. Like I will be sold on Darnold after this year. Did you
Yeah,
see the picture of Darnold, like when he showed up to the presser? I think it was yesterday or
like
the day before.
flannel
Yeah,
lumberjack looking guy.
I
Yeah,
I just want to say this was my comment, and it was amazing. Someone said, "Man, that was an underrated comment," and I was just really proud of it. I don't know if you ever have an X post that you're proud
yeah,
of, but um,
yeah. I like it.
that's the one.
I like
That's
it.
the one.
Well done.
That's
Well
all.
done.
That's all I got.
Um. Alrighty. Let's. I think that about covers it on free agents. There were some more, but those were the big names. Um, let's do one more thing before we wrap up. So if you want to throw up that mock draft, it is officially mock draft season. We are after free agency, and it probably was beforehand. The other one, the mock draft. There we go. Um, so I mean, I love mock drafts. Like I love not that I click on every single one of them, but it's just as a football fan, it's like the thought of hey, who could go where. And what caught my eye on this is the three quarterbacks at the start. Um, After free agency, I am almost more convinced that this is like because there's so much buzz about how bad this quarterback class is. But to me, that's like not smoke and mirrors, but I'm like, I just think that those three teams at the top are quarterback needy. and I think they end up taking, like, if you're the Giants and you're at 3, they could trade back. That could happen. Um, but that's what caught my eye on this mock draft was the 3 quarterbacks at the top. Let me ask you the question first. Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think it's possible, or do one of those, like, my take is if those 3 teams are there, I think they all 3 take a quarterback, because I think those 3 guys to those 3 teams is going to be a good fit. They need, whether they work out or not, you have to keep taking a swing at the apple. If you don't have a quarterback, you have no chance. And so, yeah, what are your thoughts on those 3 quarterbacks at the top?
Well, I am the biggest Shador Sanders fan this side of the Mississippi, which, if you've listened to this podcast or seen any of our posts on X, it's sarcasm. I am not. I don't think he goes number 2. I really don't. I think that Cam Ward is a lock for one.
Yeah,
I think the Browns do need a quarterback. I'm just not sure they take. I'm not sure they take Shador.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, Jackson Dart to the Giants, I guess that probably makes the most sense to me. I mean, I hate to just full on agree with you. I think I disagree with maybe some of the order. But the quarterback class, I mean, is there any other on this mock draft? Are there any other quarterbacks listed there? I mean, I feel like just out of a premium, you got to pick up. I mean, unless your team has like an obvious need elsewhere, there's not very many quarterbacks in this class. And so they probably do go first, but both out of team need and because there's only 3.
And one other interesting piece of this is the quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Kirk Cousins. Those 3 guys, I could see the Browns wherever whoever the odd man out is. Like, I think the Giants are going to get one of those 3 guys because they're desperate. So I do think there's a decent chance that they bring in the odd man out. Could the Browns trade, like, say, I don't know. Could the Browns just sign Russell Wilson to go along with Kenny Pickett, and the Giants bring in Aaron Rodgers and JJ is the quarterback for Minnesota? Like, then that's going to shake this up a lot, So I don't know. I think until those quarterback dominoes fall, it's going to be hard to fully know. What else is standing out to you in this first round? And again, this is Pat's season at New Era Patriots. It's no Mel Kiper or Daniel Jeremiah. It's just a random post on, with no disrespect, but just caught my eye, those 3 quarterbacks. But some of the top prospects are there. Who else are you seeing that, hey, this could be a slam dunk fit, or man, I really hope James Pierce doesn't end up in Baltimore type of stuff?
Well, I do hope that he does not end up in Baltimore. I think what sticks out to me, I think Tet going to the Jets. I think that's a nice fit. Someone tall and lanky with incredible hands for Justin Fields to try to his catch radius is probably 30 yards or something like that. Tyler Warren to Chicago, just another weapon to take the focus off of Caleb Williams. And the Bears have done a great job trading and upgrading their offensive line to protect Caleb Williams next year. So I think Tyler Warren to the Chicago Bears is interesting. What we touched on this earlier, the potential, or with the running back class being so deep, do the San Francisco 49ers pick up a running back because they shipped off Mason? According to this, they're picking up a linebacker. So they also, I think they did ship off Greenlaw, a couple of other defensive players as well. So I would think they would take a running back over a linebacker, but maybe not. Are you surprised that Colston Loveland is not higher? Or Ashton? You know what? Actually, I take that back. Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, Jeanty caught my eye of like, wow, him at 20 feels low, because I don't know. This is an interesting thought. Like, because it's a deep class of running backs, I could see him falling a little bit. You were seeing stuff top 10, top 12, where since it's a deep class, teams think, okay, if I don't get him, I'll get one of the Ohio State studs or Tutton, or there's just so many Omarion Hampton. Like, there's so many good running backs in this class. Um, I would say getting that fifth year option is like a huge. We talk about it often, or people talk about it often with quarterbacks, um, but with a running back, like their prime years are in that rookie contract. It's not like a quarterback where you're just trying to lock them up while they're cheap. You're also trying to lock up a running back while they're cheap, but getting that fifth year option when Saquon's getting 20 mil, Christian McCaffrey on the brink of 20 mil, so like you're telling me I can get 5 years of GNT instead of a 4 year contract on the rest of the draft? Like, I'm curious if teams would trade up into the end of the first round for like a Tyler Shuh from Louisville, or like whoever that next running back is. Positions where, hey, let's get that fifth year option on a guy. But obviously I never want my Eagles to trade back. But yeah, GNT at 20 sticks out to me. Um, I mean, James Pierce Jr. to Baltimore would be like that would be a perfect fit for him. I mean, we don't like Baltimore, but like
Yeah.
they love their edge rushers. They have proven they can get the most out of defensive players. So obviously we have some ties to Rocky Top. So that would be a huge fit. One thing I don't see is the Georgia. What's the Georgia safeties? Starks. That's
Yeah.
that's who I
Malachi
want.
Sparks.
That's who I want going at 32 to the Eagles. And let's finish here again. We're going to wrap this up. What do you think about Luther Burden to the Bills? Back-to-back years of taking a top wide receiver. You like that fit?
I like that fit. I think the jury is still out on Keon Coleman.
Yeah,
Hopefully that pans out a little bit better this year. But again, it's a rookie year. But you saw what Worthy was able to do with Kansas City. So
yeah,
I do like Luther Burden, though. I think he was underutilized at Missouri, and I think he's got a lot in the tank. And to be able to, like, for your first team in the NFL to go get balls thrown to you from Josh Allen, like, he's got to be he would probably love to go there. I mean,
yeah.
I would.
I'm not as familiar with Burden's game as I should be, but seems like more of a possession guy where Keon Coleman is at, hey, go up and get, 3 touchdowns, 3 big, big catches. So yeah, it'd be an interesting fit. Like we talked about, sometimes you just got to keep taking, like, don't not take a wide receiver because you messed up. Like, if there's a good player there on your board, team's got to take them. I think that's the interesting part of the quarterbacks this year, when you're staring down Arch Manning and Drew Aller next year. It's like, if you're the Titans and you take Cam Ward and you're still a 5-win, 4-win team next year, like, are you going to want to trade up and get Arch Manning or something? Something like that, where I think it's pretty well known that Cam Ward's most likely going to the Titans, but probably more of that Browns Giants. Like, do you pass on the quarterback because, hey, but teams don't want to think. They don't want to think like that. They're not going to say, like, hey, we're going to stink this year, so let's tank for Tua. Couple final closing remarks. Yeah, we got in here on notes. Ovi, 8 goals away from history. That's pretty cool. We've got Steph Curry, 4,000 career threes this week. And we got March Madness. We are excited to watch a bunch of random schools just go absolutely nuclear on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Or what? I think the first 4 is maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'll have to look at the calendar. But March Madness is here. It begins this week. We are excited. Again, keep an eye out for our link. You can jump in on our TSP group, and we would love to compete with you guys. We are not offering a trip to Mars like Elon. But yeah, you can get in on Booker and I's yearly tradition of the winner getting a hat. So yeah, we would love to play March Madness with you guys. Any other final retorts before we sign off tonight?
I don't think so. Looking forward March Madness. Those first days where there's just a game every, I don't know, just throughout the whole day. It's one of my favorite days. I would
Yeah,
love to get tickets to the first couple days of a game and just spend an entire, or the first couple days of the tournament and just spend an entire day in an arena watching
yeah,
teams just cycle through.
yep,
That would be awesome. So join the
yep,
bracket. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
yep. All right. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.